Are WNBA players already shutting down the league's new multi-million-dollar CBA offer? And is Natasha Howard quietly on her way out of Indiana before fans even realize what's happening? What if I told you the entire future of the league, the Fever, and even Caitlin Clark's 2026 supporting cast could be flipped upside down before the year even ends? Welcome back to Hoops Horizon, where we break down everything they won't tell you on TV. This whole story starts with a proposal that looked shiny from a distance, but cracked the second players saw the fine print. Earlier today, a revised CBA offer went out, one the WNBA proudly framed as a massive raise, a $1.1 million supermax. Headlines ran with the number. Fans went crazy. Analysts called it a breakthrough. But when you dig in, the number wasn't what it seemed. It wasn't a $1.1 million base salary at all. Instead, it was $800 to $850K with a long list of bonuses and escalators required just to sniff the million-plus figure. That wasn't what players had been asking for, not what they'd been fighting for, and definitely not the kind of longevity-based structure the union has demanded for years. The owners, many of whom are NBA owners and two independent owners, like the group behind the Connecticut Sun, positioned this offer as significant progress. But within hours, sources told ESPN that the Women's National Basketball Players Association flat out rejected it. Not delayed, not reconsidered, rejected. Punted it back into outer space, as some analysts put it. The union believes it's not a real step forward, not tied to the actual growth of the business, and not the kind of deal that protects players as the league expands, franchises invest, and media rights potentially explode. Part of the league's pitch included revenue sharing, salary boosts, and minimum salaries rising above $220K. On paper, that sounds good. But players argued the system still isn't connected to basketball-related income the way it is in the NBA. They want a model where if the league grows, salaries grow with it, not a rigid cap with a fixed annual increase like the current 3% structure that has barely moved the needle for a decade. The union didn't mince words. They called the offer putting lipstick on a pig. Translation, the league dressed up an old structure and tried to make it look new. And here's where things get messy. Under the current CBA, players only receive revenue-sharing payouts if the league hits certain revenue targets. But the league has never hit those targets. Not once. Last year, the WNBA lost $40 million. And now, we're almost at the end of November and still have no official report on 2025 financial results. That's odd. Last year's numbers leaked earlier. The longer the silence, the more suspicions arise. Are owners waiting to drop a number that favors their side of negotiations? Are players preparing for a lockout if no deal gets done? Both sides know a lockout could be catastrophic. Optics alone would be brutal. The league has more momentum than ever. Record attendance, TV ratings climbing, star power through the roof. But a lockout could shatter all of that, especially when the Fever, Liberty, Aces, and Sparks finally have national attention. And speaking of the Fever, that's where things take another sharp turn. Because while most of the country is focused on the CBA war, Indiana fans just got hit with a reality check that could reshape the entire 2026 season. The Fever's current top 6 players are Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, Lexi Hull, Sophie Cunningham, and Natasha Howard. But almost every single one of them will be free agents after this season, except for Clark and Boston. Combine that with the 2025 expansion draft, and Fever fans suddenly have a huge problem.
Last year, teams could protect 6 players. This year, with 2 new teams entering the league, the number of protected slots may drop to 5, which means one of those 6 players is almost guaranteed to be exposed. And if that's accurate, the Fever will have to choose who stays and who gets sacrificed. Now, the early consensus is that Clark, Boston, and Mitchell are untouchable. That leaves Lexi Hull, Sophie Cunningham, and Natasha Howard fighting for only 2 spots. And the early predictions? Natasha Howard looks like the odd one out. Analysts say Howard never looked fully healthy, often appeared a step slow and struggled to match the pace of a Fever team built around Clark's speed and Boston's interior energy. Toward the end of the season, she looked like she was laboring just to get up and down the floor. She was brought in to be a scoring threat and a veteran anchor, but her impact faded dramatically as the season went on. Even fans noticed it. Social media discussions all pointed to one thing: Indiana needed more mobility, more length, and more defensive versatility.
Some Fever fans still appreciate Howard's resume, her rings, her leadership, but most agree the team simply needs a different piece to fit the modern WNBA. And if Indiana can only protect 5 players, Howard becomes the obvious target for teams like Toronto or Golden State to grab. Many think she'll be wearing a different jersey next year. But here's where the story gets a twist, because there's a growing belief that someone else in Indiana's core could be quietly on thin ice. Some fans and insiders think head coach Stephanie White may not be as high on Sophie Cunningham as the fan base is. No one has confirmed this. This is all speculation for now. But multiple little moments, bench interactions, and lineup decisions had fans wondering if the chemistry was off. Cunningham has a big personality, brings intensity, and is loved by teammates. But stylistically, she's different from what White tends to prioritize. Meanwhile, Cunningham's toughness, spacing, and swagger made her a fan favorite in Indiana almost immediately. So the million-dollar question becomes, who does the team protect? Hull and Cunningham? Cunningham and Howard? Howard and Hull? Every combination comes with consequences, and no matter what Indiana chooses, one of their known rotation players will be gone. And that's before we even consider free agency, where almost the entire roster will be negotiating new deals. Deals that will be directly impacted by whether the CBA battle gets resolved.
The union wants a revenue-based system. The owners want something more controlled. The last thing the league needs is a lockout, but both sides are digging in. And in the middle of that, expansion teams are circling like sharks, ready to pick apart rosters. This all makes one thing clear. The WNBA's future is growing faster than its business model. Players want what men's leagues already have, a direct share of the profit. Owners want proof the league is sustainable long-term. Fans want transparency. The Fever wants stability. And right now, nobody is fully aligned. The deeper layer, if the league doesn't strike a deal soon and a lockout happens, roster movement freezes, player development halts, and teams like Indiana lose the momentum they've built. Caitlin Clark's rise, Aaliyah Boston's dominance, Kelsey Mitchell's prime, everything hits pause, and that could set the league back by years, not months. So, here's where we end today. The WNBA players have rejected the CBA offer, expansion chaos is around the corner, and Natasha Howard might already be out the door in Indiana. But the real question is, who should the Fever actually protect? Hull? Cunningham? Howard? And do you think the players were right to reject the new CBA deal? Drop your thoughts below, because this next month is going to shape the entire future of the league.